I've seen this debate. I'm debating with myself in this video. Hello, it's me, Andrew. Welcome back to my channel. I don't know when the last time I did one of these videos was, but I'm probably gonna be in this shirt for the next 5 videos because I'm just gonna pre-record all my thoughts on my recent reads. I'll have a playlist linked up there and then in the description if you wanna check it out, and it'll be on my channel if you wanna see like all the recent reads. I try to have a thumbnail with all the books mentioned in that video, so any specific book that you're interested in, you can see my thoughts on it. Of course, you can also follow me on Goodreads. I try to put at least something in each review so I can kind of have a record of how I felt about it. But so it's been a while since I made one of these, and then I went to look and see how many I could do, and I've literally read 25 books since I sat down to record the last video, which is, it's all about audiobooks. Like for me, audiobooks have just been an absolute game changer in the quantity of amount of books I've been able to consume has been very high. They definitely have not all been hits, as we will discuss here. So today I'm going to discuss the next 5 books I read since I think the last one I talked about was Through the Woods in my last video. And in this video I actually have 4 books that I own a physical copy of because I was wanting to whittle down my physical shelf and actually have books on it that I've read, which after this video it's pretty much nothing. I pretty much have no physical copies of books, but it's okay because those had a lot of misses. It's okay, let's just get into it. So the next book that I read was To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. So I got the audiobook for this and I read it and I gave it 5 stars. And since completing this, I really couldn't tell you. All I know is that it's a Little Mermaid retelling. I think it's really more of a 4-star, but I just structurally as a writing project just thought it was so good. I thought like the development of the romance, and you can like get the perspective of both characters, and the audiobook was narrated by 2 different people, so it was just really good. And the Ursula type character was really good. Just a fun time. I don't have many critiques for it. I just think that it kind of doesn't have, your favorite, or at least for me, my favorite are kind of problematic, but for some reason that just sticks with you more. Like this was just a fun, cute, light-hearted story. So it's not like there's anything, well, the ending was kind of intense. So, I mean, I do feel like I can give it that, as far as, it did kind of take a Little Mermaid and spin it on its head a little bit. So I'll give it that. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one. I'll probably keep it on my shelf, but I don't really know. Like, this isn't a book I'm going to be pushing on to people. I think if it sounds interesting to you, I would definitely recommend it. And that's all I really have to say. So then after I read this book, I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which was in my 5-star predictions video, as was the next book. But the Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This was a book that while I was reading it, I did really enjoy it. And I heard a lot of people say like the magical competition it's not what I expected, or it's not what I wanted. And I actually loved the way that was written in this book. And I loved a lot of I have a weird feeling about this book because I actually ended up rating it 3 stars. I've initially rated it 4 stars. Then I went back and thought, you know what? No, something about this was disappointing. It's not something it's hard to explain, because I think what it is the way people describe her writing, because I feel like I've read what to me I would consider better writing. And I feel like, I'm sorry, that might be like blasphemy to some people out there, but I just don't really I don't know. It's hard because I did enjoy it while I read it, but when you step back and you look outside of the story and I have to sit there and I have to think, I can remember like the characters' names. Like I remember like Celia and Marco and Poppy and Widget, and I remember all of that, but I felt like you just don't get answers. I feel like by the end of the story, you're just left with answers. And that's very possible that I just didn't comprehend the answers, but I didn't listen to this on audio. I read this with my eyes. It took me about 2 weeks. It takes me a lot longer to get through a physical book than an audio book. But I wanted to give this book its best chance. And most people say you have to read it with your eyes to get the full experience. And I did not rush through this. I took my time with it. I actually was working on an entire vlog just for this book. And there are so many things that I did really appreciate about this book. I really did. But I just think that the characters and it's mostly more issues with not having answers. Like by the end of the book, it doesn't feel like you're at the end of the book. It feels like I don't want to spoil things. If you really want to know a lot of my thoughts on this book and things that I have, I would possibly consider doing like a spoiler-filled review for this, because I do feel like I would have enough to say to warrant that. So I might do that. And I already have my entire vlog experience, and I don't really want to post that because I don't look good in it. You know, if you want to see that, let me know. I can do a spoiler-filled review for it, because I know it's a very well-loved book and I don't want to, you know, knock that for anybody. But this one was definitely something that left me, at the end of it, I was like, that's all? Like, and that's the worst feeling. I said it before, when I end a book and I feel like, what was the point? That is my least favorite thing ever. So I know people say you have to kind of reread it sometimes to appreciate it, and I'm not against it. I'm not against rereading it. So I might reread it, because it's so weird when people say books are their favorite book of all time. It's just so, there's already so many expectations put on it when you go into that book. Like, there's just, you know what I mean? Okay, yeah, no, I've really ranted for a while about this one. So 3 stars was my very conflicted rating on this book. Now we have, this one's a little bit more positive. Okay, then we've got The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. And this book, see, a lot of people, and even me, and also this was in my 5-star predictions, people say that they don't comprehend this. A couple people that I've like watched their videos on YouTube say that they couldn't comprehend what was happening. They didn't understand the plot, and I was fine. I got it. I understood what was happening. I was a little confused about like which aunt was who, but as far as the boys themselves are concerned, like, got it. Maybe because I'd seen so many reviews of just this book and a lot of people talking about Gansey and Noah and Ronan and Adam. Like, I understand these characters. I do think that the strongest part of the book is the characters, but not just the boys, but also her aunts, like Persephone and I can't remember her mom's name. So, but I don't think her mom is as present in this one. I have read the second book, so, but that's not going to be in this video. And then like this one I don't know, man. I just really enjoyed it. Gansey is my favorite character. Gansey is probably my favorite character because he is kind of this like obsessed with a fictional, or he's obsessed with that Welsh king. And I feel like that's my favorite part of the story, or like, because I do like plot, and there is a plot. People say, they talk about this book like there's no plot, but there is a plot. There is a plot. They're hunting for a dead Welsh king. That's the plot. It's not a complicated plot. That's all they're doing. Or Gansey's trying to like convince them to do that. But of course, they all have these backstories. And of course, Adam is very angsty and very angry about this whole life situation and all this stuff. But this was, and then actually after I finished this one, I went and watched I don't know if they did just like the Raven Cycle read along with Kayla and Elias and Zoe and Kat, all that. I'll leave that linked. If you've read this book, you should definitely check out that video, because finishing this book and then watching that video made me like retroactively appreciate the book even more. But before I even watched that video, I had given this book 4 stars and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's going to be a favorite series for me, because we'll have to see how I feel by the end of the series, I think. But I feel like I can already kind of tell the benefits of a reread. I can already tell. I already know. I don't think the audiobook is good. I did listen to the audiobook the whole time. I think for the most part, I might have read a couple pages physically, but the audiobook isn't the best. I think some people like it, but me personally, it was not. The way that man made Persephone sound was ridiculous. So there's that. But I do think that like you can listen to it and understand what's going on. So there you go. I will probably finish this series, but I'll talk more about that when I get to book 2 in another video. All right, then the 4th book I picked up was Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. I did not rate this book because I know a lot of people say that this is just them with audiobooks in general, that like you just zone out a lot. And I personally did kind of zone out a lot, but some could argue that if you are zoning out a lot, that means the story isn't good. And I watched a couple reviews, because this is how I feel. I finished the book and I know how I feel about it. But then when you go and you watch reviews, it's kind of confirming. There's a certain thing that happens towards the end here that is written confusing. It's written in a confusing way. And other people also said it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like what it was. I didn't like how it was explained. I did like the way the ending is written, as far as there's like, well, no spoilers, but I did like certain things about the ending. I'll just say that. And I found parts of this enjoyable. If I was going to rate this right now in this moment, it would be like a 2 out of 5, but I don't think it's fair to rate it. But if you have to know what I would rate it, I would give it a 2 out of 5 because it just didn't hold my attention. And you know what I mean? Would I give it another shot? Would I try it again? I don't know. You can, if someone comes in my comments and is like very passionately arguing for me to reread this, I'll do it for you. I'll reread it. I'll maybe do it physically instead and give it the full 2 weeks like I did the Night Circus. You know what I mean? Like really really just take it in. But it's not high on my priorities. It won't be high on my priorities. But if there is a person that like is obsessed with this book, I'll look it up. Also, this says on it says House of the Rising Sun meets Six of Crows, and I have no idea what House of the Rising Sun is. I don't know if that's a movie or a book, because I feel like I tried to look up the book and I could not find a book with that title or a movie with that title, so I don't know what that is. So if you know, let me know. But what drove me absolutely insane in this book was the fact that it said, like, the characters keep saying mucking, and that's just it. That was like every time somebody said mucking, it was supposed to be a substitute for the F word. Every time someone said that, it took me out of the story by a lot. So I couldn't, it was like jarring in a way. So that's book number 4. All right, and the next book that I read after Ace of Shades was Giovanni's Room. Okay, so I read Giovanni's Room. I don't really know who recommended it to me or where I've seen it. I've seen it around on Bookstagram, I think, specifically by like other, men who like men. And so this is a book that features a male-male romance, and it's written by, I think James Baldwin is, I don't know for sure if he is or not, but I don't think that this is actually 4 stars for me personally. I think that as far as like, honestly, this is the thing, okay? Literary fiction and I are very rarely friends. We are very rarely, I just feel like people read it to be sad, or maybe people read it to get like a cathartic feeling and to just feel like someone else understands them. And like, that's absolutely valid and totally valid. And I've kind of come to learn that that is not what I want to read. And this was a story where it's a man in a hotel room and he's rethinking back on his life, and he's kind of telling you what's happened as he's grown up and how he's ended up where he's at. And there's like this central romance to the story that's kind of a toxic romance. And I think maybe that was the point of the story, was to show you like how these things can be toxic. But, and then see, I don't know, because I feel like there was this whole scene, again, I don't want to spoil things. I'm trying to keep all these videos spoiler free. So if you want to know more of my thoughts on a specific thing, then I will tell you. But again, towards the end, there's just this very dramatic scene that I feel like the end scene where something dramatic is happening was like the only time that anything interesting happened, was like when there was a quarrel, not even, more like a tiff. I don't know. I don't know. See, it's hard for me to review this book because I just don't. Again, I feel like people always make like that joke that they're bad at reviewing a book that they liked, but I'm kind of the opposite. Or they're bad at reviewing their favorites. And I could tell you plenty of things about why I love The Diviners, why I love Cassandra Clare. I can tell you all kinds of stuff about why I love those things. And I want to talk about the books that I love. And this was not a book that I loved. Again, I gave it a 4. Because it just felt wrong to not give it a 4. But it's like, no one's pressuring me to rate things high or low. No one is like holding a gun to my head, like you have to rate this the right thing. And of course, if you enjoyed it, I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I just don't think, and there are other books in future videos that you will see that kind of solidified for me that this is not a type of book I want to read, which doesn't make it the book's fault. It makes it a responsibility of me to avoid picking up books that I personally feel I will not enjoy. And Giovanni's Room is that type of book. It's just hard to describe, because I feel like you would maybe categorize Evelyn Hugo as one of those types of books of like, it's like a literary fiction type of story that has kind of sad tones. I mean, obviously Evelyn Hugo is, no spoilers, but it's sad things happen in it. I can say that. And I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to tell you. It's just like these stories that are supposed to be poignant and they just feel like they aren't to me. I'm sorry. It feels like it's trying to be this, I don't know, is pretentious the word? I don't feel like it was a pretentious book. That's not fair. I don't want to say it's pretentious, but it just feels to me like it's asking more from the reader than I'm willing to do. That's not fair either, because I don't feel like it's fair to say, I've seen this debate. I'm debating with myself in this video this whole time apparently, because I feel like I've seen this argument. If people say like the book is asking me to do too much, it's like, no, you're just not making the effort. But I would counter argue that like I'm allowed to not want to make the effort. That does not mean that I am not aware of like politically important events and politically important things. I would rather like read a nonfiction about it, I guess. I feel like trying to read it in a story that's trying to say something, it never works for me. It never does. And another example of a book like that is The Vanishing Half. half, I didn't enjoy that book. I thought it was very okay and at the end of it. And maybe, I don't know. I'm curious to see how I feel about N.K. Jemisin, because people always talk about her being kind of subtle in her messages, but will I appreciate it more with a fantasy backdrop? I don't know. I'm personally curious to see once I get there, but there's so many books I'm reading. It's insane. I cannot believe how many I read this year, honestly. But hate to end it on such a negative note, but Giovanni's Room, I'm reading this review and I agree. Okay, it's a 2-star review, which I probably should update my rating to 2 stars, but I just don't care enough. But it says, I found it to be overly tragic and self-hating, and I want to say ambiguous, cryptic text. Ambiguous and cryptic. Yes. Now, I love The Picture of Dorian Gray. That's a book that I absolutely adored. I only gave that 4 stars, but honestly, it should have been like a 4.5. It was such a good book. So it's not like I can't enjoy a story in this vein, because I feel like they're kind of similar stories, but of course, The Picture of Dorian Gray has a horror element to it, and maybe that just elevates it to me. It just, I don't know, to me, it just feels like, I hate to dog on this book. It's not fair to the book. I want to talk about books I enjoy. So this is why I want to keep what I don't like brief, because I understand. I know how painful it is when people don't love your favorite book. I'm not sure if anybody that watches this is going to be their favorite book, but if that's the case, I'm sorry. On that note, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. Leave me this emoji. I have no idea in my head what the emoji is, but I'm going to pop something up there on the screen, hopefully. And of course, my Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter will all be in the description, and you should absolutely follow me on Instagram. Instagram is my favorite platform. I love Instagram. I'm the most active on there for sure. And if you've read any of these, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you are more or less interested in any of these now, also love to know your thoughts. That's all. I'll see you next week in the same shirt. Bye.